It continues to surprise me how many things in life become so much easier when you apply the principles of minimalism to them. And traveling is no exception to this. I used to be someone who would travel very, very heavy. I would pack a ton of stuff, which would then be a pain in the neck to haul around, literally a pain in the neck. And then I would feel so frustrated because I spent all that time and space packing things I didn't even use. Now, as a minimalist, I know better. Over the summer, my husband and I took our children on a 2-week trip to Valencia, Spain, and we were able to fit everything that we needed into one carry-on luggage each, which made traveling an absolute breeze. So today I would love if you would come pack with me and I will share my best tips for packing light and traveling like a minimalist. Hi there and welcome back to my channel. My name is Marissa and I'm the founder of A to Zen Life, where I share practical tips to help you conquer your clutter and simplify your way to a life you love. And I think it's safe to say that most people like traveling, and if they don't, maybe it's because they're overcomplicating things and being overwhelmed by too much itis. Too much stuff, too many bags, mile-long to-do list. So today I want to help you remedy that. But before we get started, I want you to do me a favor and go down to the comment section below and drop me a comment and let me know, what is your dream travel destination? I will drop mine down there as well, and I will also put a link to the blog post that is going to go along with this video, which will have a little bit more details, extra tips, and also the exact packing list that I used. With that being said, let's dive into the tips. How to travel like a minimalist. Well, number one, I would really like to get you on board with the idea that you should aim for carry-on only. At the time that we took this trip, the state of travel in Europe was really a disaster. So there were just so many horror stories coming out about how checked airline luggages were going permanently missing or just sitting around for months and months at a time with things that you need in them. So it really is a good idea to try to fit everything you need all in bags that you can take with you, which means that there's less chance of them getting lost, stolen, misplaced, or whatever. Now, along with this, if you are going to commit to carry on only, you need to choose your bags wisely, and you have to watch the dimensions of the length, width, and the height, as well as the weight limit. And my husband did have to buy a second luggage for us to do this. He already had one, and we did purchase a second one for this trip. And he made sure to try to pick the lightest bag possible. Now, I will link this bag below, as well as some bags that I know that some of my friends of mine use in the USA, but definitely keep an eye on the weight limit and the dimension requirements, which can vary from airline to airline. So make sure you check your luggage for your specific airline before you travel. Try to err on the side of caution and make sure that you go smaller instead of larger and try to push the limits. You don't want to do all of that work to try to downsize to carry on only for them to tell you when you're checking in that you have to check your luggage. That would be hugely disappointing. My next minimalist travel tip is to keep a list. It's a good idea to do this a while before you actually decide to go on your trip, so you can really talk it over with your husband or your kids and think about what you really need and don't need and pare down the list as you go. When you work off a list, you're more likely to think objectively about what you do and you don't need. It helps keep you on track, and it really helps ensure that you are not forgetting anything, both on the way to your trip and on the way coming back. My favorite way to keep a list is to use the Google Keep app, and that way when I'm writing things out in my list, I have it there all in one place, and then I can check them off as I go. But the super cool thing is that once I check off that list, I don't delete it from my phone. Instead, I keep it there, and then when we are coming back home, I can use the list and recheck everything to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything at the hotel or the Airbnb or wherever we're staying. The next minimalist travel tip is to limit electronics. Electronics are expensive and can be heavy, so it's best to try and minimize the ones that you take. And in most cases, your smartphone is enough to get you through. It has the camera that you need to take great pictures, the Google Translate app, which you can use to translate should you be traveling in a country where you don't speak the language. There's maps and navigation apps on there, and you can also call for Ubers or Lyfts to take you where you need to go. And you definitely want to make sure that you know how to enable your phone for international travel before you take your trip. You can also buy a local SIM card once you land in the area, but definitely research your options before you travel. I do want to say that I think that we probably took too many electronics. I did take my camera with me, the camera that I'm using right now, because I thought, oh,
I'm a YouTuber, I should be high-end, and I should use my camera to take these amazing videos.
But more often than not, I just wanted to focus on being in the experience, and I was using my phone or my husband's phone almost all of the time. So I think that next time I will just leave the camera at home. The next tip is to make sure that you have the appropriate travel adapters, because you definitely don't want to run out of battery and not be able to charge your phone because you don't have a compatible socket adapter. We have electronics from the USA, and we have even a rice cooker from China. So we need to be able to plug those things into our German outlets. So we have an adapter that allows us to plug everything that we need to into this one outlet. Something else that I want to mention is that if you're going off grid, or you're going to be in situations where you're away from electronic outlets for a long time, then it might be a good idea for you to have a portable battery with you. And these are very small and very lightweight, and just make sure that you charge them before you go. And it can be really handy if you're not able to access a socket to be able to still charge your device that you might be very reliant on. Tip number 6 is to keep toiletries minimal. So when it comes to toiletries, less is more. I have my everyday makeup bag, and it's always been in the United First Class amenity bag that was gifted to me by a friend who worked for that airline. But actually for this trip, I removed most of the makeup, and what I took with me was only my mascara, my eyeshadow, and the Aquaphor that I use for my lips. And you can buy soaps and shampoos when you get to your particular area as well. That will cut down on the liquids that you need to take, but make sure that you bottle up any specialty stuff that you can't find easily. Like I use a specific kind of face wash because I tend to get breakouts if I don't, which brings me to the next tip, tip number 7, which is to try to choose multi-purpose cleaners whenever possible. Like I said, I use special face wash, and my sons can get eczema if we don't use the right wash. So when we're traveling, we make sure that we bring soap for their skin with us. And we have a 2-in-1 soap that works as both a shampoo and a body wash for them. And that helps cut the containers that we need to bring for them in half. But I also have minimalist friends who swear by this one Dr. Bronner's Castile soap. It claims to have 18 uses, including dishes, laundry, shampoo, and body wash. So that's something to consider if you want to cut down on liquids and be really extreme minimalist with your travel packing. Minimalist travel tip number 8 is to go for simple matches and fabrics when you're packing your clothing. When it comes to clothing, pack things that you can mix and match so that you can create more outfits from fewer clothing items. I find that personally, I like to bring fabrics that are really easy to care for, like for example, cottons or jersey, jeans, or linens, so that they're easy to clean or wash if they get dirty or stained. And I would never personally bring anything that would need dry cleaned or special handling, unless of course you're going for a wedding or some special event where you need a specific kind of dress, like a bridesmaid dress. Of course, then you don't have a choice. But other than that, aim to keep it simple. The next minimalist travel tip is to wear your heaviest items on the plane. I was wearing pants and a t-shirt and then a jacket on top, as well as my bigger shoes on the plane. The boys were also wearing pants and jackets on the plane, so we made sure to wear the bulkier pieces as we were traveling, and that frees up more space in your luggage when you're packing. If you're taking, for example, winter boots with you, you definitely want to wear those winter boots on the plane. Like my UGG boots, I would definitely be wearing them if I was doing cooler weather travel. And speaking of shoes, my next tip is to limit yourself to 2 pairs of shoes. And I know that this might sound crazy, but I think that you'll find that when you are traveling, you just really want to focus on being comfortable because you're probably going to do a lot of walking and sightseeing. So you want to focus on shoes that are going to allow you to be comfortable as you travel around and see the sights and focus on the experiences. So what I brought with me was my 8-year-old pair of Sperry's because I love them so much and they go with everything. And I also did recently declutter a pair of summer shoes that just weren't really good for walking around a lot. They cut my heels, and so I swapped those out with a pair of sandals that were really, really good for me to be on the beach. I could just wash them off in the sink when I got home and get all of the sand off of them, but they were also comfortable enough for me to wear around like I wore them an entire day when we went to the zoo. So it's definitely possible for you to go on vacation and only need 2 pairs of shoes. Or less, you could go for 1 too. Minimalist travel tip number 11 is to store items vertically. And a lot of people that I've seen in these videos recommend ranger rolling your clothing, which you certainly can do, but I'm more used to vertical folding, kind of the KonMari style folding. And since that's what I'm used to, I went ahead and did that. And this is important because it means that when you open your luggage and you look down in, you can see everything at a glance, rather than, should you say, stack it like this, and you would have to dig through your luggage and make things a mess to find things. So vertical packing really does help keep things tidy so that when you're traveling, you can just quickly and easily find things and keep everything that you need in your luggage. And along with that, you might also consider using packing cubes to help compartmentalize items in your luggage. Now, I'm personally a very frugal person and I believe in using what you have. So if you already have packing cubes, of course you can use those, but don't feel like you have to specially order packing cubes if you don't have them. Like at one point, I just pulled out one of the shoe boxes that I have in my drawer and I put it into the luggage to help compartmentalize my socks and underwear and keep things tidier. But it does help to have small kind of packing boxes or cubes to help keep things segmented in your luggage. Minimalist travel tip number 13 is about dirty laundry. Specifically, how to keep dirty laundry away from the clean clothes without it becoming an absolute category 5 disaster area. So what I do, my favorite hack for separating the clean and the dirty laundry is to use a lingerie bag that I already own for my home that I use in the wash, take one of the larger ones with me, and then that way I can stuff the soiled or stinky clothes inside the laundry bag and keep them separate from the clean stuff so that I know what's clean and what's dirty, and I don't have to risk having it all together. And then another hack related to clothing and laundry that I have for you is that you can wash things in the sink. So for example, for when we packed, I only brought 6 pairs of underwear for each of us. That's much less than we needed for the entire trip. But what I did is I would wash the items in the sink, and all you have to use is dish soap. That is my personal favorite. If you get the Castile stuff, I think that works too. So for us, we packed half as much clothing as we would need for every single day, and we often re-wore items more than once, and then just mostly specifically for undergarments, wash them when we needed to get them clean. And my final minimalist travel tip for you is to focus on experiences over souvenirs. I always love the quote when it comes to this that says, "Collect memories, not objects." For myself and my husband, we don't really care about collecting souvenirs. For us, just the experience and the pictures that we have afterwards is enough. But for my boys, we did promise them that if they didn't bring their favorite stuffed animals with them on the plane and to the vacation, that they could pick out new stuffed animals. And so when we went to the dolphin show, they did choose to buy a dolphin stuffed animal from that show to remember as their souvenir. And then they picked up lots of seashells from the beach, but we had them pick 3 of their favorite seashells to bring home. So that really cut down on like trying to buy a lot of tchotchkes and souvenirs and things that would crowd up our luggage and our home, when really the experience is the best gift. However, we do like to bring home souvenirs for family members, and what we focus on usually is consumables. So what we did is we found some really yummy chorizo that was like a local delicacy, and we specifically packed super light for the way there so that we knew we had room on the way back to add these souvenirs. And so we had these long sticks of chorizo that we were able to bring back and give to my in-laws. So when you're traveling, look at the local delicacies and cuisines and think if there's anything that could fit in your carry-on to bring back as a souvenir should you want to gift it to others.
So we are going to see the sunrise, guys, all by ourselves. My husband said it's amazing, so let's check it out. Found a random cat. Hi, kitty. Hi, kitty. I'm gonna see sunrise. I'll see you later.
If I was going to share one last bit of advice when it comes to traveling like a minimalist, I would say it's important for you to think about your goals and what's important for you to make your trip a success. As a minimalist family, we want to see the sights, but also not feel as though we're pushing things too hard and stressing ourselves out to see everything and do everything. And we also try to save money and be frugal when we take a vacation. So for us, that meant eating meals at home twice a day so that we could treat ourselves to one delicious dining out experience each day. And while we do focus on packing light and traveling minimally, we also want to have everything that we need to be comfortable on our trip and enjoy ourselves. So while a waterproof picnic blanket might not be high on your must pack list, for us, it was an absolute essential. And I think that that's one of the most beautiful things about minimalism is that it's up for each person to define for themselves what minimalist living looks like and what's important to them. If you're interested to know more about this topic and how to define what minimalist living would look like for you, I would recommend you go check out this video and make sure that you are subscribed and have all notifications turned on if you haven't already, because next week we are going to be decluttering my home again. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.